Hello there, this is Rom Wills coming back at you with yet another video. Men who don't cheat. And I know some women that heard that title, even saw the title, they probably like, Rom crazy. Even some men probably saying that. But no, there's plenty of men out there who don't cheat. And before I go further, I want to shout out someone who requested this video, Henry Randolph. He wanted me to address that issue. And, it's funny because, I always think about Michael Baisden, radio personality Michael Baisden, how he got started. Over 20 years ago, he wrote a book, How and Why Men Cheat, right? And, put him on the map and everything. But the reality is all men don't cheat. All men really don't cheat. I mean, once again, it's a case of, women seeing enough of the men who do cheat and think they represent all men. But they don't. Because there's really three categories of men in general who are not going to cheat, right? There are those men who can't cheat. There are those men who simply don't cheat, and then there are those men who won't cheat. Now let me explain what I mean by each, right? First, we'll start with the men who can't cheat. Quite frankly, they ain't gonna cheat because if they get a woman, and it could be any woman, I mean, she could be an example I like to use, that type of woman who's built like a water buffalo with the disposition of a wild gorilla. And dude ain't gonna cheat. One like in that movie Norbit with Eddie Murphy. You get one of those type of women, he ain't gonna want to cheat. Now, I ain't really see the movie, and apparently some other women came in there, but you get some guys, they get that type of woman. They ain't gonna cheat. they are not going to cheat, right? And because they can't. You get some guys out there, of course, there's this, I don't know how it got out there, like all these guys out here just fucking all like crazy. You get some guys, for whatever reason, it could be their looks, personality, whatever, they just not going to be attractive to most women. And they'll usually get some other woman, she could be, she don't even have to be like that bad, but they on the same level. And y'all know I don't like using that alpha beta thing, but a good example is if you get some dude, he's just an omega, right? He ain't even a beta, whatever, sigma, alpha, all that stuff. He's just an omega. He's just bottom. His sexual market value is like in the negatives, right? But sometimes you get some guy like that to get with some woman who may be a little bit higher. She might be domineering or something. Or sometimes they just get with another omega. Sometimes, I'm going to tell you what. Sometimes people know they jacked up. They know they don't got it. But then they happen to meet that one person that's equally as jacked up, and they're a perfect match. In fact, those are some of the best relationships, in my opinion, when you get two low sexual marketplace people, right, SMV people, and they know it and they cool with each other, and those are usually the happiest couples because they cool with their position. It's like he ain't gonna cheat, she ain't gonna cheat, all right, and he couldn't even if he wanted to because other women ain't feeling him. So it's easy for those guys who they just can't. They can go out there, do whatever, it's just not gonna work for them. And you know what, they kind of good with it. So those are the ones who can't. Then there are those who don't. Look, and I might get a little bit more into this on the Deep Thought channel, but when I do this particular subject, it'll be more looking at other aspects. It won't be trying to promote any path over another, right? And what I'm talking about is religion. See, when people talk about these men out here cheating and stuff, or men doing anything, they forget a lot of men are very devout with their spiritual beliefs. They are very devout. Now, in Western culture, the dominant spiritual beliefs are the Abrahamic religions. right? Or two of them anyway, right? Judaism and also especially Christianity. That goes without saying. You have, if we use Christianity as, we'll use that as an example, it's the most dominant example. You get plenty of men out there. And since this is a channel that's patronized by majority black men, we'll use black men as an example, even though we do have some white men and Asian men and Hispanic men who check out this channel, but we'll use black men. Especially since, black men have that overall reputation of being players and dogs and everything. But you have plenty of black men who are up in the church and very devout with their Christian walk. And very devout about the parts of, they took a vow before God, they married, and they ain't gonna violate it. And so they don't cheat. It ain't that they can't. A lot of times they probably have some women throwing it at them, especially if they some guys like a minister. And I've actually known some ministers. I knew one minister. Oh man, I got to I got an Uncle Rob story. If that brother hear it, man, brother, I love you, man, but I gotta tell this story. I'll never forget this, right? But I knew this minister, right? He just got married. Now, he was the type, he was very devout. He didn't have sex with his woman before the marriage. And he wouldn't be the type who would cheat, right? Because I knew him, I knew his character. But he was he took his faith seriously. And the story was, I remember he first got married to the woman, right? He got married and, you know what? He went away for the honeymoon. Then I remember when he came back, because we worked together. He's like, Rom, or he actually called me Rome. He said, Rome, I'm about to divorce her. And I'm like, what? I'm like, why are you about to divorce her? He's like, man, she didn't want to have sex. And I was like, what? But, he told me further, what it was like on a honeymoon, they had plenty of sex, but he was tearing it up. As he said, Rome, I was up in here all weekend. I'm sorry. He just tore it up. She just needed some rest. He found out. He's like, oh, damn. Because that dude, he wasn't the type. He just wasn't the type. So once he put a ring on somebody's finger, he was tearing her ass up. Oh, shit. Rome, I was up in her all weekend. She just had to tap out. But you get some cats like that, some ministers. I know some dudes, they are serious about their walk. They serious. They not gonna violate it. And there's a lot of men. I mean, this is something, we don't want to get a little serious. We don't talk about religion, but we have to remember there's plenty of men, plenty of good guys. They're very devout. They ain't gonna get into all this ratchet shit or be out here doing all this crazy stuff. And if they put a ring on a woman's finger, that woman got him. He ain't gonna go anywhere. All she has to do is do her part. And I know a lot of Christian brothers like that. They don't play. You ain't gonna catch them in a strip club. Even if a woman tried to get at them, they gonna let the woman know. Now, is that gonna be all the brothers like that? Nah, you gonna get some who gonna slip. They still gonna do their own thing. But you get people who respect their religious path and they respect the tenets of their faith. And if the tenets of their faith saying thou shalt not commit adultery, they are going to follow it. See, we forget about that religious part. And like I said, I use Christian brothers, black Christian brothers as an example, but I met some hardcore Christian white men, promise keeper types back in the day. Seba BGS had mentioned the promise keepers a couple times in some of his videos. I remember them. I chopped it up with a promise keeper. That was that hardcore type of white man. He was about his faith. He was about, like, this is what you supposed to be doing as a man. So you going to get those who are about their faith. They could be Christian, whatever race, or they could be Jewish or Muslim. ever. I'm not sure about other spiritual paths as far as how how tight they're gonna be on that provision. It's like no adultery. Cause and then again, you got some people on some spiritual paths that's like, hey, anything goes. But that's another conversation. But you're gonna just get those who are not. They're not gonna violate their religious thing. That's the key thing. They don't. They won't. They ain't gonna do it. They made a vow before God and they gonna keep it. Or even before they get married, they ain't gonna touch that woman. They're gonna be like, nah, we gonna do this right. And so, you gotta respect that. Say a lot of people. Let me just say one more thing about that. A lot of women, and like I said, this is mostly. I'm gonna say this about some black men. A lot of women want to say, "Oh, black men doing this and black men doing that," but really, there's a lot of brothers out there. They righteous. They are righteous, and you know what? If you see them up in the church, they ain't trying to mac. They trying to follow the precepts of their path. And one thing I think many women need to reject them, but then that gets into another conversation. The women they really want to be that Jezebel and stuff out there, and be out there doing whatever. So, but the brothers are there if they really want that righteous brother, but that means they gotta be righteous. But like I said, those men ain't. And they don't care what anybody say. They are going to be right in their path, and whether or not you agree with the path don't mean anything, because I'm gonna respect any man who's going to be righteous in his path. Now, the last one may or may not be religious, but there are going to be some guys who just won't cheat, and they could. And I know a couple cats like that. And it's not even just a religious thing. There's usually two things involved if they just won't cheat, even if they could cheat. In fact, when you get guys who won't, it's because they have the ability to cheat and get plenty of women. I actually know a cat like that. That dude can get women easily. He's the type of dude you don't want to bring him around your girl. And it's not like he just try to crack on him or something. Or crack. Yeah, that's a old DC way of saying it. It just means hollering at a woman, right? But ain't that they, won't crack on him or anything. Or or in fact, many women who've met this dude think he's very attractive. Extremely attractive, in fact. Right? But a dude like him, now using him as an example, his wife is bad as shit. And it's like two things. Like I say, two things with that. One, you get some dudes, their wives are just that fine. If you're a dude, you get some woman who's like, on that infamous scale rating like a 9 or a dime. You gonna have less inclination. They ain't gonna say it's gonna be perfect. There's plenty of dudes who get a dime and still cheat. But this dude, one, he got a badass wife, so he's not as tempted. And two, you get some dudes, the shit they on, they ain't gonna try to lose it just because they couldn't control their dicks for about 20 minutes. You get some dudes, they building a fortune, they like, oh hell no. Because they know what's up. Because you get some dudes out there, they just like, hold up. Woman's bad as shit too. I don't want to be caught up with some woman who gonna be like, hey, you got me pregnant. Because you got some dudes, and usually dudes like this are the type who used to be out there as players, so they know what's up. So when they decide they gonna chill the fuck out, they get that badass woman and they like, boom. And then they focus on getting their money. And see, you get some real powerful people. Anybody who really got money, got some level of success, got a lot of shit to lose if, they cheat. They ain't. And it's not even so much a fear of losing it, but it's like, why? They be like, these guys who just had some woman, they like really in love with them. They like, boom, they just ain't. So they got a badass woman and they ain't trying to lose anything they built up for messing with the wrong woman. So really, there's just some men out there who don't. And I know women don't want to believe that, but thing is, that's because a lot of women checking for the guys who going to be naturally inclined to cheat, and that goes back to what I've always talked about. You know, a majority of women messing with a small percentage of men. So, anyway, that's all I got to say for today. Talk to y'all later. Peace.